All right, today we're going to be working on a card fast formula from Creative Memories, and this had just come out. I do have a couple of spare sheets of paper that I'm going to be using. These are Creative Memory papers, but you can use any papers from any collection or any spares that you have. I would just make sure that they somewhat coordinate as you're going to be using them on the various cards. And so everything is laid out. We're going to use 2 6x12 pieces of designer paper. Mine are going to be front to back so that I can make some choices. And some of them do say reverse on the back side, so you're going to cut them out and then reverse them. And then it gives a list of all of the different things that, from a supply standpoint, that is needed on here. And we're going to kind of go through and just wing this. I do have some, it says 5 white cards and envelopes. I don't have white, but we're gonna try to find some card bases that I have that coordinate with this collection that I've got. So let's get trimming and we'll see what we got going on here. First, these are not 6x6, so I'm gonna cut or 6x12, so I'm gonna cut them down to 6x12 as my step number 1. I gotta make sure I have the right, yep, I got the right cutting blade in there. So I'll have some spare on that. And then this one, I've got a pattern on one side that is going, you can go either direction. I am really not gonna focus on that and just cut my 6 inches, my 6-inch strip here. And then leave that like that. I'll put that off to the side. And I'm not so sure which one we're going to make with which, so we're just going to pick here. So we're going to do this dotted square dot one is going to be on this first or the far left side, and then this one will be my right-sided cuts. So put that one aside, and the first one is 5.5 by 2. So we're gonna, 2 inches. We're gonna cut at 2, and then we're gonna get this to the 5.5 mark, which is right at the edge. Just throw those aside. I have another one of those. And if you wanted to, you could stack them and cut them all at one time, so you're not doing double cuts like this. And then we need a 5.5 by 1/2 inch. Got my 1/2 inch, do the 5.5. And then we need circle punch. We've got the square punch. So let me grab that quick. I'm gonna start with the circles at the bottom. And even though this is kind of a scrap piece of paper, I'm going to try to use as much, keep it as condensed as I can. And try to, if I have extras, I have a little bit of extras. And I'll use those for another project. And when I flip it over this way, I am able to line it up and kind of see where my edges are and get pretty close right to the next one. So we've got these. And then I need 6 squares. So then I'm going to come from that side. And then, because I like to get nice and close, I'm just going to trim these quick. And then start in again. And you can see I do have some spare paper there, so I will, at the end of this, go back, clean that up, and hang on to it and use it for another purpose. I do try to use all of my scraps and pieces of paper. All right, so let's kind of organize this a little bit once we get to actually putting the 5 cards together. All right, now we're gonna use the other sheet of paper, and we need a bunch of 1-inch strips by 5.5 and 5 1/4. So I'm gonna cut the strips first, and then we're gonna come back and trim them down. So hopefully I can keep that straight. And so the first one is gonna be at 1 inch. And I need 4 1-inch strips. Okay, so we got those, and then I need a 3-inch strip. So I'm gonna cut that this way. And then I need another 1-inch strip. And then this one's gonna be 3.5 by 3.5. So let me get the 3.5 here. Okay. And then we need a circle and a square out of this. Get that. And our square. Oops. There we go. All right, now we're gonna come back and we're gonna cut the strips. So this 3-inch one needs to be 5 1/4. And I'm gonna switch that around, try to keep my ends clean here. Okay. Then we need a 4 1/4. And then we need 2 5 1/4. And so when I said you can kind of combine them, it means you pile them up and line them up. I'm gonna what my edges look like. I'm trying to cut off the icky edges. I think I cut it the opposite direction, or possibly had a dulling knife or blade. So there's my 5 1/4. Now I need 2 5.5. Line that up with the edge. And cut. All right, so all my pieces have been cut, and so now we're going to flip the page over and try assembling them. So I'm gonna lay these out first. So we've got this one. It's gonna go over here. We've got that one, it'll go there. These two are gonna go down here. They're the same size, right? Yep. And then this one will go over here. And we have this little piece that's gonna go over here. The square that I did, I'll go there. Let's take these next. So I've got one that's gonna go in here, another one that'll go down below. And this is where you're gonna have to, the sketch on the other side, it, like I said, would tell you to reverse them. But once you get to the actual card making part of it, you'll need to, you can kind of switch it up for what looks better to you with the patterns of paper that you have. So I'll figure that one out as we go here. Then let's divide up the circles. So we need J, K, and L. And we may move these around too. Well, I'm gonna put that one there. And then these ones will go with this card. They're not in the right order, but that's all right. I'm just dividing them out so I know what goes with each card here. And then we'll have this, those, and then this one also have 4. And now you've got options with this one. You can keep them all the same. You could flip 2 of them. You can kind of do what you want to do with them. All right, so I've divided out all of my pieces, and now I need to go find my cards or my card backs, and that I will put with each one of these. And then I can start adhering everything down to the cards, and then you can add some sentiments is all that's needed after that, and you can leave them blank, or you can leave them blank until you need them, or you can come up with some ideas on how you want to use them now. So, and pre-make them so they are ready to go. So let's see, I do have some orange ones here. I don't know if they'll be, some of them might be too overpowering. That one looks like it would work. I kind of like this middle orange color for this paper. So I think we're gonna put, this will be all 5 of them, and it kind of works out. So that's all gone. And I can put my cards back. And for another use. All right, so let's start assembling these. So let's take the first one, and they should come together pretty quickly. And with cards, you know, I don't like to use my expensive Creative Memories tape runners, so I usually invest in some cheaper versions. A lot of people like to use glue too. That's always an option, as that will hold up over time too. All right, did that one, probably should have started with this one. Okay, and we're gonna line this all the way up over to the edge. Now, like, I'm gonna follow these, but you don't have to. You can always kind of go off script and see what works and looks the best with the patterns that you have, the card bases that you have. You can, I'm gonna attach this one flat, but you could put some foam squares behind it and pop it up a little bit to raise it up. And this is where I would likely put my sentiment. That way, oh, of course it runs out on me. But that I would put my sentiment on this one in the middle of the box. And it could be a larger sentiment or a smaller one too, and then you could put some more embellishments there if you wanted to as well. All right, I'm back with a full tape runner. And I'm gonna center that. All right, the other thing you can do is you can kind of see, it depends how particular you are, but I do have a little bit of overhang here on one of these, so you can always take your scissors at the end and just trim that right off so that it's flush with the card. And there's one done. All right, we'll move on to the next one. And this one, I think I like all 4 of them to be the same, so we're gonna put all 4. And then in the middle, we're gonna have to try to line this up and find the center of the card for the middle one. Okay, so if I do shimmy it that way, it's gonna be, you can eyeball it, you can be a little bit more particular like I am trying to be right now. And we're gonna hope that works out. Probably have too much space at the bottom. Yeah, see if I can pull that back up. All right, there we go. That looks better. I'm gonna try to create even margins kind of around all of the little squares too, especially on the edge. And then if the middle ends up being a little bit larger of a margin, I'm okay with that. So you can kind of see that here, that this is a little bit bigger in the middle. And last one, and another card done. Now on this card, I would, depending on how large this sentiment is, you could have it overlap. If it's a larger one, you could have it overlap here. Do I have any spare-ish paper? Not really. But you could have it overlap, or it could go right, a smaller one could go right here. Different ideas on how to put that together. And we have another one done. So now we are down to, we had the circles and this piece. And I like the less busy side, so I'm going to use that. On the circles, you could do all three of them the same if you wanted to, or you could create a little bit of visual interest and flip one around, and that's actually what I'm going to do. On here, you can see that they kind of went all the way up to the top and they went over to kind of create a nice even margin all the way around the edge of the card. So we're going to try to keep to that with this card too. And I'm going to try to keep the geometric shapes lined up like in a straight line for the top and the bottom one, and then we'll have to see what we're going to do for the middle circle. And it's your card, so it's up to you on whatever direction and how you wanted to pull it together. And this last one will fit nicely in between there, and I think I'm going to try to keep it all up and down or straight with the squares and not throw them on an angle. But if you were in a hurry and that's what happened, I think it'd still look good. Another one done. And on this card, you could put the sentiment towards the bottom, in the middle, up closer to the top, all personal preference. And I'm gonna flip that over. Okay, then this one, we have stripes across the top, the bottom, and the squares in the middle. So I could do this. This is an option. I do think I like this with just a little bit of a pop, and I'll have to position that one correctly too. And with the longer strips of paper, I like to work from the top and the bottom, get those in place first, and then I'll go back and put the middle in. Then you know what kind of space you're working with too. So if you have to shimmy the squares one direction or another based on the card. Okay. Then the other thing I'll do too is I'll work from the outside in as well. So we're going to take these, start from the outside on each one, and then we'll put the middle one together. And I'm going to line this up with the edge and then space it as close as I can, eyeballing it in between the two strips of the teal paper. And same concept over here. And then this one, now you can see they do line up and they're going to touch. So you could, I'm going to throw different ideas out at you. You could put this on the diagonal. You could still raise this up. You could put it flush so that it just touches and may overlap slightly on one of the little squares. You could turn it this way as well on the diagonal and put it together. So lots of different options. It's, again, personal preference and how you want to kind of mix up the card. I think I'm going to just try to attach it as straight and probably overlapping each one of them a little bit. So there we go. And then the sentiment here could go in the middle, depending on how large it is. It could, if it was a small, simple one, it could go down here. You could overlap it there. I would probably raise up the sentiments with some foam tape. And then we got this last one, our last card. All right, I wasn't sure which way to go with this one. I think we'll just do this. Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom on this one and work my way to the top. Really for no rhyme or reason, just personal preference. Might be easier to try to line it up at the bottom. And I do have a little bit of overhang here, so I will go back and I'll trim that at the end when I'm done. I'm going to push that up tight right to that piece of paper. And there's that one. Then we have this last piece here. And what I'm going to do, I am going to raise this one up on a foam adhesive. So let me find that quick. And then we'll put that down. And the sentiment on this card would likely, I will probably cut a smaller circle in here and put it in here. It'll be a round sentiment. Or if I have one that I need really quick, I can just put it down here towards the bottom. So a couple of different options, different ways to use the Creative Memories card fast formula, and different ways to kind of put your own spin on it. And these were quick, fast, and easy. You could always embellish them a little bit more. You could ink the edges. You could spend a little bit more time trying to find different pieces of paper, but the idea is it's a fast formula so that you got your cards that you need and they're ready to go at a moment's notice. Here's a quick look at some of the cards that I made with the card fast formula from Creative Memories. These are the finished products with some embellishments and with the sentiments placed on the cards. And I angled this one kind of off to the side. This one I put across leading into the circle and then attached a little bow to it. The hooray I placed down towards the bottom. And this hooray I kind of put towards the bottom and then put some fibers there. The happy birthday to you is towards the bottom and kind of off to the far right. And then I placed the bow over on that up at the top. And then on this one, instead of having it vertical, I did go landscape and got the hooray there with a little bit of white fibers. So fairly simplistic, but the cards came together very quick. They're fast and easy, and you could leave them as they are and wait for a need, or you can go ahead and pre-make a bunch of them like this and have them ready to go at a moment's notice. So enjoy using the Card Fast formula in some of your card making with either some of your larger scraps, or you can also use it on some of your smaller scraps too, to kind of close out the end of some of your paper packs.
Thank you for joining me today. Tune in next week for another project.